What's going on, drag racers? It's time for the Breakout build series. Welcome back to the Dorky and 40 RC channel. I am Chad. This is video number 1 of the Breakout chassis build series. We're going to build the entire car. We've got all the parts over here. I'm going to go through everything that we're going to be using. If you're watching this in the future, I'll put the playlist up here and in the video description. And it's going to be multi-part. We'll go ahead and just start with this video here, see how long it takes us to do these, break it down into manageable videos, and then go out, test everything that's in it and all that kind of stuff. So there's going to be some new gear that we've never used before. So there'll be a complete learning process and curve for us. The good thing about it is all this stuff is super current. In fact, the ESC that I'm going to be using, I believe, was just spotted in the Big Chief's car that Tim Smith gave him. So if you don't follow Big Chief and Jackie on Instagram, you probably should, so you can get some sneak peeks into that stuff. So I'm going to do my best to cover all this with different camera angles, details. Please leave any comments that you have below. That way other people can learn. Maybe we'll mix in some live streams. Maybe we'll mix in some pre-recorded stuff with Midwest RC. He is my inspiration for this build because Episode 2 is going to be really special because me and Midwest RC, Tim Barth, are basically going through all of the instructions. You're going to learn a little bit more about him, his background, what he's done to the kit, and he's going to be popping in a lot of the build videos here just because he's already done this. And like I said, you'll hear later in the video, I'm like 5 or 6 hours into this already. And it's not easy. It's definitely not easy. So I guess it's just because I don't want to make a mistake and I want you guys to have all the right information yourselves. So I'm going to try to provide you with as best detailed instructions as possible, circling parts and stuff that you're going to want to use inside the kit. Try to make an actual reference of going from step to step to step between the two kits and all the extra option parts and stuff like that. That's pretty much the best way to do it. It's really not that hard as long as you have somebody to show you the way. You just are screwing things together. There are some modifications that you have to make. There's some extra tools that you're going to have. If you're going out thinking about stuff right now, you're going to want a tap kit in metric that goes down to 3 millimeters. You can get one for like $12 at Harbor Freight. You're also going to want an 050 driver, super small. You're going to have to spring the money for MIP drivers. I have links to MIP drivers down below in the Amazon affiliates. If you want to contribute to the channel, you can get one of those or click on something and buy something on Amazon within the next 24 hours, maybe a fridge or a car, and I'll get a small commission and we all win. I got to see the happiness on his face when he ran his best ET ever with it. So there you go. Check out his channel, link in the description below. So don't forget to subscribe here, and enough waffling. Let's get over to the bench and get into this baby. So we've got all the various manuals here pulled up on the screen, the stuff for the Breakout chassis and then the B6.3 kit. Now, I went with the full B6.3 kit. They do have a builder's kit now that is a little bit cheaper. I think it runs like $250 versus the $350 for this, and that will come with everything that you need as well. But if you ever decide to buy a buggy, you're gonna have to just go ahead and buy another kit or replace all the parts. So long term, the value is in this kit because all I really need to do is just throw some tires and electronics on it and I'm good. With the builder's kit, you would have to buy the chassis and all that kind of stuff. All right, so of course, the main star of the show is the Breakout chassis kit. We're going to open this up first when we get to building just to take a look at what we have because I'm, like you, a little unsure and unclear how much of the buggy kit we're actually going to have to build, because they give you a lot of different parts inside of here, even some pre-made turnbuckles and stuff like that. So that's the main star of the show. Now, to go with that, I have aluminum parts here that are for the wheelie bar mounts. I think it comes with like either a Delrin or some kind of polycarbonate 3D printed mount. We've got the different battery holder here versus using the stars. And we have the front and the back weight boxes. So we got the full-on kit here. These things are super heavy. They're full of the tungsten weights. From what I hear, you don't have to use very many of those, but that's okay. The B6 buggy kit itself with all the glory inside. Got a Reefs 299 low profile servo. Some people go MKS. I like Reefs. We've got some drain plugs from Menards for a little transmission mod that Midwest RC talked to me about that we're going to be using. Traxxas wheelie bar wheels because they're just the best thing to use. The Drag Race Concepts hard coated diff case and their aluminum. We got a standoff kit here from Amazon for the wheelie bar. That way we get all metal standoffs in the wheelie bar. One set of 21mm shafts to replace the shocks in the rear, so they're all running 21mm. Also got some vented slipper hubs. That way we get a little bit more performance. In the box here, I've got some various slippers and pads. If you're used to a DR10, the DR10 uses kind of the octagon pattern. Well, this slipper is called the Octalock. So if you see that, you can see the pad is shaped a lot differently. It's got all these little notches just from a performance aspect. So everything is completely locked in there. And then I've got these super soft springs I was told to get that are made by a company. I can't remember. I'll have to put it up if anybody asks about it. These are for the rear, and if you look at any picture on the breakout groups and stuff, pretty much everybody is using these springs right now. For the power system, we are going to be using the Gen 3 Tekin RX8 with all of its drag functionality, combining that with the 3-turn Trinity hole shot. We got that right here. We've ran this in the DR10 now. It ran awesome, but it was definitely a little bit too much power for the batteries I had at the time. So this is going to be the power plant that's going in there. We got the Hotwire 3.0 device, so that way we can do all the ESC tuning and everything. And of course, this is going to be getting a Futaba receiver, and that is going to allow us to do our staged launch control all within the remote. I just ran the remote yesterday for the first time, and wow, it's quite a difference. I've never had like a real awesome remote like RC car remote. All I've ever ran was RTR stuff and the Spectrum, and boy, did it make a huge difference. And finally, one of Tim Smith's little secrets. These are the RC Speed Secret bearings. These are completely sealed bearings, it looks like, on both sides. I've got their bearing lube to go as well. These are supposed to be like really sweet. I've read more about it than just what he said, so I'm not plugging it or nothing like that. They are supposed to spin really good, and if I've learned anything recently after my running again, I'll put that video up here if you want to take a look at it. Having a great new battery with the best technology and putting in better, fresh bearings in a car can really, really make a difference. Now, you could build your kit however you like to. You can bounce around. You could start with simple things like building the transmission, building the shocks, everything like that, the mundane processes. I'm going to do a little bit of bouncing back and forth. So we're going to start, I guess you could say, in the front of the chassis and kind of work our way back. So we're going to pretty much be dealing with the breakout instructions, and building it out from there, and then going over to the B6 3.6.3 instructions when we need to. So this is bag one here, of course. We've got the instructions for bag one right up on the screen, and it's pretty simple. We're actually going to come to our first modification. The standoffs that it comes with are if you want to screw your body in for the most minimal look and scale look as possible without using magnets. And I don't think that I am going to do that. I've got some of the heavy duty I've got some of the heavy duty body mounts. We're just going to use those. They're brand new in a pack, and I'll show you what those look like when we open them up. I'll go grab them here soon. So let's just grab our hobby knife here and go to cutting and see what we got here. So obviously we have a front bumper, all nice and cut and milled out there. We've got this bumper extension piece that I believe this is gonna kind of connect the, I believe that connects kind of the front two pieces together, kind of helps give it a little bit of a step up there, and also kind of like a scraping thing. So this material is super nice. It's obviously 3D printed, again, out of some kind of polycarbonate blend. We got another bracket here, which it looks like it's going to mount underneath like that. And then if we look at the rest of the bag here, it looks like we pretty much have those standoffs and everything for the rest of the kit that we're not going to use. Super nice cut carbon. The tolerances are really tight. You can tell that you've got a definitely good homemade kit when something like that's going on. We actually have to kind of finish boring out the holes here as we put the rest of these screws through. So gonna line all four of them up, and then we'll secure everything down. That's the safest way to do that. Don't want to lock one down and then maybe your holes will be off. So there's 4 holes drilled into this bottom plate here, and it looks like from the pictures that you're going to be left with something like that, and these 2 holes are going to be exposed, which means that nothing's going in these top 2 holes back here. So we've already made our first mistake, guys. That's why I am doing this build video for you. This bottom part, you really got to look close at the picture. You would always wonder why this would be in bag 1 if it wasn't going to be used. And indeed, it is going to be used. It looks like it's going to go on like that. All right, it's time for our first interruption. If you plan on using the ESC tray, then you might want to keep on watching so you can see how you want to do that. You do not want to connect it to the top plate rail first. You want to leave it off and put it on off side of the chassis so you can get to the bolts underneath it. There's a lot of weird stuff that's happening like that in this kit. I'm like about 5 or 6 hours into it now, and you'll see it in upcoming videos, little interruptions like this. So I'm not using it now. I got rid of it. Same thing goes with the top rail chassis. If you can go ahead and put that on, if you're not using the ESC tray, you'll have to add in the extra standoffs that come in that next bag, and then you'll have to replace those long bolts that you get to go through the standoffs into another standoff with something that will just, secure the standoffs to the frame. So be very careful. Definitely don't attach that, and if you plan on using the ESC tray, you'll see why. And there's going to be a lot of stuff like this in the upcoming videos, especially when it comes to that front shock tower, man. I've taken it on and off a couple times, and now it is loosely secured, so I literally have to just turn the screws a couple times because things get buried underneath there. And this is a carbon fiber chassis, so You could kind of get away with bending things and getting drivers into places on like your regular plastic tub stuff, but not this. Not gonna happen. So not to be silly here, but you don't want to put this thing together the way that they are explaining it, especially when it comes to the ESC tray and this rear body wing, or this mid body wing holder. And reason being is these screws right here need to thread through and go through into these standoffs under here. And if you have these standoffs tightened all the way down, which they tell you not to do, then you can't do that. So I'm kind of like freaked out already about these instructions. So if they're not going to be that helpful, then why even have them? So I basically just wasted 20 minutes of my life. And if you build this kit, I'm saving you 20 minutes of yours. So I guess that is the upside to all this. So I just took apart the ESC tray again, taken this apart, and then we're going to put all this back together again on the top chassis brace. So here is the top chassis brace. We've got the standoffs there that line up with holes. Now, from what I can see, it looks like there's an extra set of holes right here that we're not actually going to be using right now. So the ESC tray is going to go right there, which is odd because that's where the servo is. So they must actually be reusing that part for something else. So this is the way that this should go. We should put a hole, put a screw through here. And quite honestly, this is not going to be too easy. I think what we'll do first is we're going to take our top tray here and we're going to thread these on just to where the screw is barely coming through, or at all. Fivestar, why did you guys do this in your instructions? That's very odd. All right, so now that that is all done, what we're going to do is we're going to take it and place it on top directly here and get these screws started here. You want to make sure that you get all four poking through, or you're going to leave yourself up for some problems again, like I did. All right. Now we're getting somewhere. So the front two are going to get lock nuts on them. So we're going to go ahead and run those all the way through. They're poking through. There is the lock nut. And we'll go ahead and tighten all this up. Number two. I can't see why some people are not using this. It does seem like it might be just a extra added weight that really isn't needed. So then these two are going to go down through these two standoffs. But now we also have to worry about the back here. So that is where, well, the front, wherever we're at, mid body mount. Which I'm actually starting to think that I was confused and that's not even the correct mount that I was talking about earlier. I believe this, no, this is in the front. See, the servo piece right here is what is confusing me because they're reusing that for another purpose, obviously, in the back. So again, we got the short standoffs. And we're going to run those up through here. The way the instructions should have been written are to mount all this stuff first and then go ahead and finish off with the standoffs all in one spot. That would have made a lot more sense. Now I am not going to Loctite this just because I want to make sure that everything is on there the way it is supposed to be. Which it looks like we are. So I'm going to just go ahead and go for broke here and attach point number 1 loosely. Point number 2. Alright, so now we're actually connected here. And then we'll go back here to the back. Then we're just going to attach the rest of them from the bottom. And that is your finished chassis ESC plate, top plate, and mid mount. And that is going to do it for this video. Because of all this, I need a break.